Okay, well, hello everybody. My name is Maria Alejandra. I'm Partner Marketing Manager at IUV, and I'm very happy to be here hosting this first RSK Ecosystem update of the 2022. So for those of you who are new, this is a space where new projects on RSK present themselves to our growing community. So very quickly, I want to introduce the projects and the speakers that will be presenting today, right? So first, we're having Fernando Pandeiro, the CEO at TEEB Health, a healthcare decentralized ecosystem that uses both RSK and NFTs to provide digital identity management solutions to patients so they can gain back control over their medical records. Secondly, we're going to have Stuart Jackson, Head of Sales Engineering at Fireblocks, the go-to platform for institutions that want to engage in the DeFi world, and they want to do it in a very secure way. So very excited to hear about more about Fireblocks. Third, we're going to have Jacques Whale, the business development team at Ramp Network, a crypto fiat gateway platform that enables people to buy crypto directly from their wallets or from one of the DApps that are part of the Ramp network. Right now, they are growing very fast, so very interested as well on hearing more about Ramp network. Last but not least is Ryan from API3, a project that's presenting right now a different approach to the need of DeFi projects of having off-chain data, right? So very excited about hearing this new DAPI or decentralized APIs proposal. Okay, so let's start with TEEB. Federico, the space is yours.
Alejandra. Okay, well, thank you for allowing me to present our project. So just to reconfirm, you can hear me, correct?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, great. So I'll start talking a little bit about our core company. It's called Rocket Hub, and just in terms of our host, I'm CEO and founder of Rocket Hub. Through me, I can show you how TEEB works, all of our hubs that we manage in terms of our business ecosystems. We can talk about partnerships or anything that you want. So what we're going to review today, in a very macro level, it's the review of Rocket Hub, our methodology, what we like to call our hubs, but especially our business units. And then we go through the what we like to call our MetaTeEB X. That's our architecture where we involve NFTs, blockchain through medical identities, and then we can do a quick demo. So we as a company, we are innovation hub. So we focus on solving global significant challenge through innovative solutions, and we have two main business verticals. One of them is what we like to call health and wellness. Here, where we go through our branch that's called TEEB Health. TEEB in a Hmong language means hope and light. So that's what we want to provide to everyone in terms of their health. And the other one, it's a payments and crypto wallet that's called Rocket Pay. So through that, now we're going only to review the TEEB Health vertical, but that's what we do. It's health and wellness, and then we go through payments and crypto wallets. So in terms of our methodology, we everything that we do, it's user-centric, 100% user-centric. So everything we build is through the user, and through the user, we build all of our ecosystems and infrastructure. And through that infrastructure, then we build services and products. So we've been doing this for almost 10 years. And in terms of our business hubs or units, we have, like I said, we have TEEB, and then we have Rocket Pay. So everything that you see in terms of TEEB, it's focused on health tech. If you see here, there's a yellow type of different colors. So these three in the upper level is what we like to call the trilogy of healthcare. So we focus on putting together patients and doctors. We also have on-demand services in terms of healthcare services and emergency type of healthcare services. So through all that, we have a main type of access that's focused on creating a unique digital identity using NFTs that we'll see in a minute. but now we have these 7 verticals in terms of our company. It's called Rocket Hub. So TEEB, right now we're going to focus on our NFT / blockchain architecture. We like to call that a MetaTeEB X, as in exponential exponential delay. So what we like to do here is just to transform healthcare through technology, and of course through our partner RSK, we've been able to do something very interesting that I'll show you in a minute. So what we've built is putting all of the services together, or most of all the services or healthcare services together through an app that's focused on creating access and control through your medical data for the first time in your back pockets. So through that, we created also on-demand services. So whenever you need a medical assistant, you can just use our apps and you receive that service. But the most important thing is what we like to call our e-health passport, that allows not only data privacy and to have a safe and universal access to that information, but also we are pioneers in creating an NFT as a sole identity, connecting a decentralized electronic health record, and also is universal. So you only have one electronic health record in your back pocket that's connected through all of our ecosystem, and all of the doctors and service providers that actually work through all of our ecosystem. It's exactly the same in terms of communication. So we created an interoperable ecosystem in terms of NFTs using blockchain technology to be able to provide that unique identity. And we've not only created through art, but also through connection and through robust technology and architecture. So this is in a macro level, this is our architecture, what we like to call the MetaTeEB X. So here where we create that identity, we create everything that has to do with privacy and unique and direct access to your information. So we're providing that, and we're empowering you for the first time to actually have access to that information, and you decide to who, when you want to share that information. So we use permission-based ledgers. You can activate it and deactivate it. And the idea for us, for everyone, is to be able to have that type of control in terms of your medical data. So it's not that someone else has that access. It's you control it and you decide who, when, and where you want a third party to access that information. So now we're going through the NFT as a digital identity. And this is very interesting because we at first, about 3 years ago, we really didn't know how we were going to manage that unique seal of identity, right, in terms of your medical data. So of course NFT are right now are very it's starting to actually to be marketable, but in terms of healthcare, we couldn't imagine we could do actually an NFT that created such a value in terms of accessing your medical data. So this is very, very important for us, and it's very important for the industry, the healthcare industry, because now we've been able to have a universal electronic health record through NFTs and a seal of authenticity in terms of who you are as a person in health, right? So we create something that's a dual connection of bidirectional consents. It's of course permission and control access for everything you do, since you download the app until you actually connect through a medical provider or healthcare provider through our app. Everything is connected in terms of accessing case authenticities and so on. So what we like to do and how we actually started in terms of creating this is how we can empower patients if we cannot empower or if we don't empower the healthcare ecosystem in general terms, right? So we started by building an ecosystem and interoperable infrastructure as a base, and then we've been able to provide a service to the patients. So I don't believe if you have something that provides a service to an end user, a patient, if you don't have the equivalent in terms of technology and infrastructure to the one who provides you the service. So you do need to have that, and that's something that we have been able to build pretty well. So just to get into detail, this is our NFT. So what you register with us, you can actually start building your electronic health record, and the doctor will validate and revalidate all of that information from the point you actually download it to 50 years if you want to. So it's digital for the first time and validate and revalidate through this NFT. So once you do that, we have what we like to call an e-health passport that once you build on it, then you can actually create your NFT, right? So these are two things. The first one, you have a user ID in a platform that is this number here. Obviously, each number is completely different, and I'm just going to put you here an example. So when you actually create your NFT, if you see this image, it's actually creating your unique NFT, and we can build it over. Actually, in terms of the different types of NFTs, is 100 times the world population. So this means that it's practically impossible for that NFT to repeat itself. So once this is done, you create that NFT that's unique for you in terms of those type of variables, colors, images, the size of it and everything. So once you do that, then you have that art, you have it in your application, and through that you connect everything, and the traceability, auditability, and everything that has to do with your electronic health record. So this is the representation of what we do here. And I'll show you a quick video. So this is our app. This is pre-recorded. So this is your electronic health record, everything. So once you start building on it and you put all the information, whether you do that or your doctor do that, it doesn't matter, because if the doctor do that or you do that, it's the same information updated anywhere. So if there's a third or fourth or fifth doctor in time, it will see the same information, and you will always have that information updated. So once you do that, I'm just going to fast forward a little bit. If you see there's a yellow button below, that's NFT. So once you build that your first e-health passport, then you're going to be able to click on that icon here. So it will actually create that NFT. I'm going to continue forwarding it. So it takes a little while, but now that you generate it, you're going to be able to see that image that I show you as unique. Again, I mean, you won't see the same NFT anywhere. So I have my own NFT that no one will ever have. So that's part of the beauty about using also art for this. So once you do that, you create that NFT. You can download that NFT. You can have access to that NFT. It creates also a QR that in case of emergencies or hospitals, anywhere that you need to provide that information with your consent, of course. You just click on you just take a picture, and then you can access this type of e-health passport through that consent through the NFT. So this is, as you can see, this is a different NFT than the one I provided you. I showed you before, sorry. So it's different, right? So each NFT is different. It connects to your electronic health record, through your health passport, and it creates you that authenticity in terms of identity for healthcare. Once you do that, and you can here you can open it at RSK, and then you can see how the transaction was made, and you can actually confirm it has been created. So this is unique. We're very happy because it took a while for us to be able to create this type of medical identity. We believe that we are one of the first companies in the world to actually be able to do that. So that's it. I just want to share you just as an overview what we are as a company, our health tech vertical, and how we actually create that medical identity in terms of NFTs. If you have any questions, of course, we can review details later.
Yeah, well, Fernando, thank you so much. This is very interesting to see, how you're using NFTs to build digital identities, and for a very specific, industry or case study, which is, health, right? Healthcare. So yeah, congrats. I don't see, any specific question right now during the comments. So let's just, park that. See if there are more questions at the end of the call. So I'll ask you please to stay.
Of course, thank you, Ale.
Platform for institutions that want to grow in DeFi and to want to explore the DeFi world. So Stuart, I leave the space to you.
Thank you. Good day, everyone. Can you see my screen okay?
Okay, I can see it. Maybe somebody from the audience could confirm as well.
Okay, I think we're good. I can see it on my screen now.
Yes.
All right, perfect. So welcome everyone. My name is Stuart Jackson. I head up the pre-sales team here at Fireblocks globally. To put in context what Fireblocks is, or at least try to, we are a digital asset and crypto custodian that allows customers, institutions to be able to maintain and hold assets on behalf of their customers or their clients. So when we're looking at Fireblocks, what I'm going to do today for these 10 minutes is really run through just a demonstration of exactly what I mean by custody, but also what I mean by transfer as well. So the ability to be able to transfer digital assets, custody them, and be able to control them in a way in which people can then have institutional lending, borrowing, and as I mentioned, custody. So what you're seeing here on screen is Fireblocks. So this is the UI view of Fireblocks. So everything that we're doing in here, there is a small exceptions in a couple of places where APIs are not viable. Equally, there are other places where APIs are more viable. So everything in terms of development and interaction with Fireblocks can be used via API. Equally, you can come in here and as an operative or as an operations person or as a compliance officer, whomever it might be within a particular organization, to actually see what's going on at any one point and see the assets, what vaults they're created in, and various other aspects. So if we take a look at the view that we see here, we've at Fireblocks, what we've done is we've created the vault structure. So the vault structure is essentially what holds a group of wallets. So if you're creating NFTs, or you're creating tokens, or you're creating assets for ERC20 or other smart contracts, or dare I say it's bond issuance, whatever it might be, what we're doing is we're creating these vaults, and inside these vaults we have these wallets. So essentially what I can do is I can build down from my vault, and I can take a look at Fireblocks DeFi wallet. So this is what we're going to operate in today, and we're going to link to it's an RSK based app in a second. But what we're going to look at is the DeFi wallet. So inside the DeFi wallet, we've got a number of assets that are actually inside that vault itself. So if I type in here RBTC, you will actually see that the RSK Smart Bitcoin is now applicable inside our environment. So those individuals that want or are holding significant amounts of RSK Smart Bitcoin or any other digital asset for that matter in the protocols that we support, if they are, i.e. not comfortable with a private key that they have access to, or only knowledge that they have access to, and they wish to go to an institution that's going to custody these assets because they may hold a significant amount, especially when we were going through last year where people were collating and hodling these types of Bitcoin, and the prices were significantly going through a growth phase last year. So people over that period of time have said, well, actually, I don't want to hold that asset any longer. I want to be able to provide that to a bank or some other institution to be able to hold on my behalf and own it effectively. However, we also want the flexibility of decentralized finance, the ability to be able to use that coin for wherever we want. So the scenario with Fireblocks is that we can leverage a number of aspects in here. So this is the institution, the enterprise function of what's going on here. So an RBTC can be held within this wallet. We've got addresses that are held and are created. These addresses, these deposit addresses, are created from what we refer to as our MPC key shares. So we don't use a single private key. We use a function within multi-party computation to break those keys into 3 key shares, and they are correlated together to communicate, to create a signature for a transaction, which is then delivered to the blockchain, which is how we achieve very high security in terms of how we can actually hold and transact those particular assets. So in here, we've got the DeFi capability of whatever asset that we want to connect to. Equally, if we want to be able to exchange or trade, as an example, so we can go into exchanges here and we can look at a particular exchange. We've got Bitfinex in here, which supports our BTC as well. So for argument's sake, if we were to go to Bitfinex and acquire a RBTC from there, or BTC indeed, Bitcoin, then we can hold it inside exchange, and we can move it back into Fireblocks for settlement purposes. There might be a number of reasons or particular use cases where you might want to be able to hold assets within inside of the environment, move it to exchanges, move it back from exchanges. If you're market making, whatever it might be that you're trying to do in terms of trading, then Fireblocks is facilitating that movement. So what you can do is you can move your pre-funded assets from your vault that you're holding in your assets, your wallets, and you can move those to the exchange and vice versa. So you can market make on those particular trading venues. We also have a Fiat on-ramp as well. So for customers that use Signature or Silvergate, and we're actually going to supply some support for other vendors very soon. But effectively what this allows for is it allows for Fiat currency to be allowed to come onto the platform. So when you're dealing in the crypto asset and digital asset world, and you want to be able to take your funds from Fiat into whatever asset you want to mix with, then essentially you can bring that in through the Fiat ramp, process it through your systems in here, and then make a counter or settlement process either in crypto or, if you so wish, back into Fiat. Now, one of the things that Fireblocks is doing here really is, as we said, we're custodying the assets. So we're holding those via the deposit addresses. Obviously, we're releasing those transactions through the private key mechanism in multi-party computation. But ultimately, what we're also building is this network of trusted environments or trading venues or liquidity providers. So when you're holding on Fireblocks, it's not just a case of being able to custody it and then provide into DeFi, and we'll walk through that in a second, but it's also the ability to be able to hold those assets and then move them into a liquidity provider and vice versa. Equally, if you have a situation where you want to trade with someone more frequently, then you can actually set up a secure communication between two entities inside the Fireblocks networks. So if you are a Fireblocks customer, you have the ability to be able to communicate to other Fireblocks customers. So in this particular instance, we're just showing a list of active customers right now that are available through the network connections. So what they have done is made their workspaces available or visible within the network connection. So anybody who's a Fireblocks customer comes onto the system, they can attach to this network connection and they can start sending funds between the entities. Now, the purpose of this is to try to simplify the problems that you have when you're sharing crypto addresses. The problem you have typically is you have to share your deposit address. You have to make sure that deposit address is not interfered or changed en route. And you also need to make sure that when you send a micro transaction, that the recipient receives it and it's the recipient that's telling you that it's okay. And that's a problem, because if you've got a situation where you have, let's say, 10 deposit addresses going bilaterally, you've got a problem where you've got to make sure that all 20 effective addresses are sent programmatically and in a way which you know are secure. The challenge with that is obviously that might not necessarily be the case. So what we have is we have a process here which we use an arbitrary network ID to identify a user, and we can attach to an entity within inside the network that allows that flow of funds to happen. So what we can do is we'll go back here to the DeFi address. We'll go back to Fireblocks DeFi wallet. And we can look in here and see that inside the DeFi wallet, as I mentioned earlier, we have RBTC. We actually have the address for that particular coin available to us. Now, what we want to do is we want to be able to look at how we can connect to RSK providers. So whether that's through this infrastructure using our DeFi apps. So we have a DeFi apps section on here, which allows you to attach to wallet connected apps or dApps. So what we can show here is if we go to RSK Open Finance, we can look at the ecosystem on under this section here under wallets. You can see that Fireblocks is there. So we are now an active participant within the ecosystem of RSK. And we can also see, if I keep going, we look at the sovereign connectivity. So in here, I can look at connect my wallet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up my mobile device. I can click on mobile. It shows me the QR code here, as it would do, as you would expect for the app. What I can do is I can go to Fireblocks, the application running on my mobile. I can choose the workspace that's linked within Fireblocks. It initiates the app connection, and now what it's doing is it's tying this environment back to the deposit addresses or the environment that we just had. So I can see my Fireblocks environment. I want to be on the RSK Smart Bitcoin mainnet, and we can hit connect. And at that point, what happens is we can actually see in the background, this is now connected a wallet to this infrastructure, and now I can go on and I can either promote or provide Bitcoin to convert to RBTC, and ultimately we could also buy sovereign coins on this as well. So the idea is that all of the structure of Fireblocks is to host custody assets, but also make it much easier to move into DeFi apps. And really the critical part of this is that the private keys themselves are not held within the browser session that we have here. That's using Fireblocks' security in MPC, hardware-backed security, to make sure that any transaction or custody of those assets through the smart chain, through the smart contract process, is always secured through governance layers as well. So we're always making sure that your movement of assets are tracked, transacted correctly, and as I say, secured. So just a final word from me. Fireblocks provides this, as I mentioned, through the UI, and you can see these functions in here. We also have the capability, as I mentioned, to actually provide assets directly with counterparties or trading venues or liquidity providers through our network. And then equally, we can also provide a DeFi SDK. So those developers that really want to hook to a programmatic way of communicating to a smart contract and interacting with it directly, they can leverage the Fireblocks DeFi SDK. So that's it from me. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Stuart. Very interesting. Indeed, it's really interesting to see how you are like removing this, friction layers of institutions to try and understand better how they could make the most out of DeFi protocols and even DeFi platforms such as Sovereign, right? It's also interesting to see how you're building this network, right, of institutions that could interact with each other and transact with each other in within the DeFi world and with cryptocurrencies. So thank you for that. We do have a question here, and it's about RIF. RIF is a token on the RIF economy on top of RSK. They're asking about it.
Yeah, sorry. So what I should have done is I probably should have added all the wallets that we actually currently support within the system. So I chose the path of least resistance, which was RBTC. I could have added RIF as well. So anything that sits within the RSK structure in terms of a coin or a recognized asset within the environment, we can also add that as well. So my apologies, I should have put that on there. But essentially, you can see that too.
Perfect, Stuart. Thank you very much for the information and for showing us the platform of Fireblocks. Really interesting indeed.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we can move forward with our third speaker, Jacques Whale, Business Development at Ramp Network, gateway for people to buy crypto directly from a wallet or from a DeFi on the Ramp network. So Jacques, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me time to present RAMP. I'm going to stick to the two core principles we have here at RAMP, which is ease of use and ease of understanding and compliance. So I'll stay under the time limit. So at RAMP, what we do is we make crypto easy. What we want to do is to bridge the gap between traditional finance and the decentralized world. So there's a lot of friction still between these two financial systems. One's obviously a lot more archaic. There's a lot more regulations, technologies that's not up to date. Whereas on the other side of things, you have a lot of experimental, very cutting edge technologies. And connecting these two worlds not always the easiest. But that's the business opportunity for us. So that's what we do. Like I said, again, we have two core principles at RAMP. One is ease of use and ease of compliance, ease of understanding, and the other one is compliance. So RAMP was actually the first to get an open banking license. This is a new European standard that requires all the banks in the EU to open up their back-end banking infrastructure for third parties' financial services to tap into. So we were the first to get that. And then also we were one of the first 8 companies to be registered in the UK as a crypto asset company. That was quite a few years ago, and I'm happy to say we have continued that progress. And just at the end of last year, we were able to get our money service business license in the US. So we're now available in the US, and we're working to expand our presence around the globe, and while staying 100% compliance in the jurisdictions that we operate in. So that's about Ramp. A little bit about me. I've been doing crypto since 2013. So I've seen a few cycles of Bitcoin and the ups and downs. I was working in the Bitcoin space for quite a while until I move on to sort of doing more general multi-chain stuff. So I had a project called BitAd where I was doing decentralized advertisement on the Bitcoin blockchain. We had what was then pseudo NFTs on the Bitcoin network. So that was an interesting time when the gas was low and there wasn't too many transactions happening. And I move on to Found Discussions, which is a decentralized social media platform on the EOS network. Now I'm working at Ramp as the business developer, and you can find me at these links. And if you have a phone, you can scan a QR code, you can find me there as well. So that's enough about me. Back to Ramp. So we want to make sure that cryptocurrency could reach its full potential by enabling access. And we've been able to do that very successfully to our partners. We are the exclusive Fiat on-ramp for Axie Infinity. And as you know, Axie Infinity is growing massively over the last few years. They have onboarded more than $1.3 billion into the ecosystem. And we had a non-insignificant part to play in that. So we're very, very very happy to have them as a partner, but also very excited about sort of the validation of what we built can be used to onboard massive amounts of value into the different ecosystems that we do support. Our other big partner is SoRare, another NFT trading platform, fantasy football platform that's also done massively well in helping them onboard value for the users, making it easy for the users to use the solution. Obviously, we don't work exclusive with games. Games is my specialization, so that's why I spend so much time talking about it. We do work with a lot of great wallets out there. Trust Wallet, for example, is one of our great partners that we recently integrated with, as well as Bitcoin.com. So I just want to show you a quick demo of our application just to show you sort of like the flow and the process and how easy it is. So the user would just type in their email address, so they get a confirmation code in the email, which they will input. And then they would just confirm their email address to select a payment method, verify the information, and then we do our KYC on the application itself. It's a quick KYC. If you use open banking, it's instantaneous. If not, you just upload a few documentations like driver's license. You do a short videos of yourself, and then you get verified within minutes and instant again if you're in the EU and using an open banking system. So you upload your documents, it gets verified, and then all you have to do is wait for the network to process your transaction, and the cryptocurrency is delivered into your wallet. We are also integrated with applications like Revolut, so you could very easily use. People could very easily use payment methods they're already familiar with. So the other being credit card, debit card. We're also adding support for ACH in the US. We're adding local payment supports. So no matter which region you're in, we want to make it so that whatever payment method you're comfortable, whatever payment your users are already familiar with, they could use that payment method to get access to the cryptocurrency market. So obviously, we recently added support for RIF, as well as the stablecoin RDOC, dollar on chain. So we're very excited to hear more from partners like you. So if you want to reach out to us, please do send us an email. We would love to support your application and help you onboard more users and make it easier for users to onboard onto this new and exciting ecosystem. And just as a last bit of note, we recently raised a $50 million round, and we're looking to expand our team across the board. If you're interested in joining us and help make crypto a little bit easier for our everyday friends and family members, please do reach out to us at the same email. I'll be happy to sort of introduce you to the team, and let's work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Jax, for the presentation, for the demo about Ramp. Again, very interesting. I want to highlight the part of if you are interested in having Ramp working with you, please feel free to contact either Jack or even RSK. We can put you in contact with Ramp's team in case you want to work with them. I'm saying this because I asked you, Jax, just to confirm, many of our partners working in Latin America or have a big focus on Latin America. So just to confirm, you are able to work with Latin American partners.
I'm not gonna be dishonest. Working in Latin America is a tricky situation. Right now, we have support in Latin America. It is nowhere as robust as we would like to be, and we're putting resources into making it more robust. But that's in part, and not to get too deep into the details there, because there's a system called 2DS, the payment security system that we implemented that a lot of banks in Latin America has not yet implemented. So we're working with the banks and institution there to sort of come to understanding so that the cards and the bank transfers there could be better supported, and the transaction there could be better processed. And again, we do this for the security users. It's not like we don't want the business in Latin America. It's just everyday business situation.
Perfect. Now, yeah, sounds fair. And yeah, anyway, I know we have a lot of partners and even final users that will be very interested in trying Ramp and working with you, for sure.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to move forward with our fourth speaker. Let me just confirm if he's available. Ryan, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, Ryan, welcome. So to all the audience, Ryan Boder is from API 3, a project that has a different proposal to, let's say, the oracles, right? The oracle need in the DeFi world of having, off-chain data inside DeFi protocols. So Ryan, if you could explain that better than me, it would be great for the audience.
Sure. Thank you. That was a great explanation. We are an oracle. So API 3 is an oracle. The thing that you probably, if you've heard of us before or seen anything by us, the thing that you'll probably see is the keyword first party oracle. So the thing about API 3 is that we're leading the effort, and this is sort of an industry trend that we're kind of driving forward, which is toward oracles going from being third-party providers, third-party middlemen, to being first-party oracles, where the data owner or data provider is able to provide the oracle feed or the oracle service directly on chain without going through a third party. So I'm Ryan with API 3. I'm going to talk. I want to tell you about two products that we have available. Both of which are going to be available on RSK. One of them is already available on RSK, and if you're interested in using it, we can actually make that available to you now. But that one is just the one I'm going to briefly touch on, and then the one I want to spend most of the time on is Beacons, our new product that we're planning to launch on RSK very soon. So the first one is what we do. It's simply connect APIs to blockchains or APIs to smart contracts. And what we've identified, and the main motivation behind this is when it comes down to it, data from oracles, pretty much in all practicalities, it always comes from some web API. So the oracle's getting data from a web API and putting it on chain. And with API 3, we've built infrastructure that makes it super easy and simple and efficient for API providers, like the reputable API providers that you have heard of and have off-chain reputations and have thriving businesses, to just serve their data directly on chain without going through a third-party oracle. So we have one product which we call Web3 APIs, which is simply enabling your smart contract to make an API request and then get a response back in the future. So it's like the equivalent of calling an API on Web2. You make a request. You probably have to wait until the next block to get a response, and you get that back and do something with it. And that is useful for a lot of new use cases that maybe aren't as established in DeFi or in blockchain smart contracts in general. But as we all know, the main thing people use oracles for today is data feeds that continuously updated values, usually price feeds that are being put on chain by the oracle in data feed form. And so that's the product that I'm going to talk about today. And we're launching a new data feed product at ETH Denver coming up in a few weeks called Beacons, which is a version of data feeds where you have the API provider just putting the data directly on chain from a single source. And so I'm going to kind of walk through that. And it's not I wouldn't view it as like this is the end all be all replacement for all data feeds. What beacons are really useful for are enabling new use cases because they're incredibly scalable, they're incredibly cost efficient, and they increase transparency. So let me pop up a slide here, a few slides, and I'll tell you about that. All right, let's see. Share. Okay, so beacons by API 3. Beacons are the product that we're launching in just a few weeks. What are beacons? Well, beacons are data feeds. They allow smart contract developers to connect web applications or Web3 applications, smart contracts to continuously updated streams of off-chain data. I think everybody on this call knows what data feeds are, so I'm going to blow through that. What are beacons uniquely useful for? So what's different about beacons is that they are very lightweight, efficient, and scalable source, or lightweight, efficient, and scalable versions of data feeds that are operated by the API provider themselves. So imagine you had, I mean, this is just an example, but imagine you have a stock exchange rather than a real world stock exchange, not a traditional world stock exchange. Rather than having some third-party oracle get the data from the stock exchange and then do something with it and then put it on the blockchain, you would have the stock exchange actually run the node. We call it the air node is the software, but you, as a consumer, you don't have to worry about that. But the air node is run directly by the API provider, the data owner, and fed directly on chain. So it's source operated. And then the most important thing about beacons that's different from what you get from most current oracles today is that we emphasize transparency. So the fact that the API provider, the data owner, is running the node and feeding the data directly on chain, you know exactly where the data has come from as the data has come from as the smart contract developer. And so you're able to judge the quality of the data. You're able to be more selective about which data you're pulling into your application, and depending on transparency is really the key. And when we talk about like why would you consider doing a beacon, a single source, a single API source data feed, when you could also consider doing a decentralized third-party data feed? This is the best explanation is when you're talking about third-party oracles, you're forced to make a trade-off between two not ideal situations. So one trade-off, and that's the picture on the left, is you can have your smart contract directly connecting to multiple oracles, and then each of those oracles is going back to the API source, and you've sort of decentralized the oracles that way. The good thing about this, of course, is that you're decentralized at the node layer, but the bad things about this are it can be quite expensive. And of course, then the aggregation contract, the aggregation itself is still centralized. So I guess that's really the main thing is decentralization is usually what we strive for, but you want to do it intelligently. You want to decentralize when it actually provides a benefit, a real benefit, a meaningful benefit, and not just blindly decentralize for the sake of decentralization. The alternative, the other trade-off you can make is you can have the smart contract, you can have the off-chain aggregation happen in multiple third-party Oracle nodes. And then, of course, what you're reducing cost, you're doing the work outside of the blockchain, but you are then, of course, trusting the Oracle network. So you're centralized on a single Oracle, even though it's multiple nodes, and you still have to trust the middleman Oracle network, and you still have middleman costs that are involved in everything. So I think anytime we're dealing with these engineering trade-offs, you have to decide what's most appropriate for your use case. But that's where we come to beacons, which are a more simple, more efficient architecture, not appropriate for every use case, but appropriate for quite a few use cases. And in fact, enable a lot of use cases that might be preventing dApps from existing today because they can't get or they don't have access to data feeds from the existing providers. Is the beacon, which you have the smart contract, which is connected directly to the air node, and the air node and the API provider are one and the same. So you are getting data from a single source on Web 2, but you know who you're getting it from, and you know the reputation of that API provider is then something that you can use in your decision making, in your smart contract and deciding who you're going to depend on. So with the increased transparency, it enables you to know more about where your data is coming from, rather than having to trust an opaque middleman and then make the decision of whether that makes sense for your smart contract yourself. What the benefits that you get from this, they're clearly more cost efficient. You don't have more nodes that you have to run in the middle. You don't have resellers that are trying to make a profit margin in between. Performance wise, you're obviously capable of scaling up to higher performance situations when you don't have as many nodes in a distributed network to deal with. And then of course, what I like to point out is scaling down. When you're dealing with a price feed or a data feed, or I'm sorry, when your smart contract needs a price feed or a data feed that isn't available by traditional Oracle providers, there's much lower startup cost and much lower barrier to entry to get a data feed up and running with a beacon than with a traditional, or with an existing decentralized Oracle network solution. So if you're struggling to get access to a data feed that you need, then beacons might be the solution for you, is really what it comes down to. This product, Beacons, is launching. It's planned to launch on multiple networks in Q1 2022. We had actually hoped to have RSK launched in Q1 also, but from what I'm hearing from the technical team, it's more likely that that's going to be a little bit later, so sometime in early Q2. But I'm not the person who gets to make that decision, so all I can do is tell you what I know. But yeah, Ethereum, Polygon, Binance Smart Chain, Arbitrum, and RSK is certainly one of our top priorities. We really want to make beacons available on RSK. We know that there are applications that are looking for data feeds, and we love to be your Oracle provider. So please, definitely reach out to us. I guess that's what this slide's all about. If you need a beacon, if you need a data feed, all that we have to do, so we're actually initially launching with an API provider called Amber Data, who you may have heard of. Amber Data provides a lot of the price data, the crypto price data into blockchain applications today. Very established, very reputable, very proven API provider, and actually provides like aggregation behind the API. So with Amber Data, you're actually getting aggregated data, even though it's coming from one API provider. Amber Data is the first beacon that beacons from Amber Data are the first beacons that we plan on launching. But that being said, if you need something, if you need a price feed and the API provider is, and you know that there's an API or some entity on Web 2 who's able to make that price feed available, an exchange that you know of or that you have a relationship, it's pretty easy for us to set up a beacon for you that would then take that data and feed it and create a price feed for you at a relatively low cost. So it's pretty exciting in my opinion. So that's all I have about beacons, and I'll pass it back to you, but then I will stick around if you have any questions that you'd like answered. Let me know, and I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ryan. Looking forward to know more about API 3 on RSK on next quarter, you said, right? Q2 of this year, probably. So yeah, very keen to know about that.
If I get my way, it'll be day one. But yeah, I'm a big fan of RSK, so I'm doing everything I can to, of course, obviously there are many platforms that are looking to have additional data feeds, and so there's a competition of who can we integrate with first. That being said, we have already integrated with RSK, like the Web3 APIs, the ones where not a data feed, but where your smart contract makes a request and then gets a response back. That's already available. So if that's something that your application could benefit from today, talk to us and we can get you set up on that now. But that being said, we can with data feeds, which is really what everybody seems to be asking for. It's probably looking like beginning of Q2.
Great. If somebody wants to get in contact with API 3, which is the email? Should they follow you on social media? Should they reach out to you directly? How should they be contacting you?
However you like. We do have a general contact at API3 email address that goes to the right people, who like our business development people or people who are there to assist for that. You're always welcome to email me. I'm just Ryan@api3.org. But you might get better service if you go to the contact at api3.org. You can also get on our Discord. You can also, reach out to us however you like, or through RSK. We talk to the people at IOV pretty frequently, and we're happy to, work with you through there if you're already comfortable with them.
Perfect, Ryan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are getting to the end of this ecosystem call. Thank you for all the speakers, for all the projects. All of them are very interesting. So I'm going to go quickly through the questions to see if I didn't miss any question of the audience. So I do know there was one specifically for Fernando at TEEB. So Fernando, if you are there, they're asking what's the adoption of your project? Like, what's the next steps for your project?
Great. So we've just launched the NFTs in our ecosystem. We should be in production today, actually. Today we're going to update all of our applications, and you're going to be able to download it and be able to generate your NFT. Right now we are launching this in Mexico. Then we are going through LATAM, and then we want to go to the world. Right? We built something that is geo agnostic in that sense. But we are starting in certain type of phases: Mexico, Latin America, and then the rest of the world.
Okay, Fernando, thank you so much for your answer. Very keen to know more about TEEB in the future. When it gets to my country, I am in Colombia, so looking forward.
Colombia.
Yeah,
of course. Thank you, Ali.
Okay, so thank you so much for joining us during this edition, the first one of the year of the RSK Ecosystem call. Looking forward to see you all in our next edition on February. And again, thank you so much for all our amazing speakers. I remember we had TEEB Health, we had Ramp Network, Fireblocks, and we also had API3 here in the call. If you want to contact them, feel free to reach out to them through their social network. Also in the emails that were posted here in the deck that we are showing, or you can contact us, and our BizDev team will help you to get in contact with these projects. Okay, so I think this is goodbye for now. Thank you for joining.